Hello, welcome to New Filmmaker LA in partnership with Movie Maker Magazine. I'm Nic Novicki, the founder and director of the Easter Sales Disability Film Challenge. We're a film competition that helps give opportunities for people with disabilities in front of and behind the camera, and in turn, we change the way the world views disabilities. I'm so excited we have Samantha Mannis from Couples Therapy here with us today. But first, let's see a clip of her film.
Reed, I was choking. Help me. For some reason, for the first time in a year, I actually felt something. You know? Anyway. You two have insurance, right? I don't take insurance.
Samantha!
Yeah!
It's so great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, for those of you that haven't seen Couples Therapy, can you give us a little bit of a description about the film?
Yeah, so basically the film is about a unhinged therapist who brings in three of her clients, and they go through their usual routine and things get a little bit messy. She manages to fix things, but not in the most traditional way.
Well, that's awesome. So what was your role on that film?
I was the writer and associate producer of the film.
So you guys had a lot of people with disabilities both in front of and behind the camera on your film.
Yeah, our cast and crew was over 80% disabled on the film.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was our goal, was that we wanted to include as many people as possible who wanted to be a part of the film, who wanted to be involved, and so that went into the writing of the film. We wanted to, when we were discussing the concept, we wanted to see like how could that play a part of the story, and so that really played a major role in that.
That's amazing. And if I'm correct, the entire film was done virtually, right?
Yeah, that was also another part of it, was in order for the film to be accessible, like when we were thinking about how to come up with a great story, we thought, well, accessible, that could be on Zoom.
Your cast, though, was really amazing, too. I mean, you guys had you in the film, great actress, and Melanie Waldman, and also you had Steve Way in the film from Rami.
I wasn't in the film, but...
Sorry. Wait a minute. I need to watch this movie again.
Clearly, I wasn't in the film.
You did so great. I wasn't in it.
Melanie Waldman was in the film. She was the director and producer. And then we had Imani Barbarin, Steve Way.
Crutches and Spice.
Yeah, Crutches and Spice. Colin.
Truly a great cast, too.
Yeah.
And so many different people with disabilities, and the intersectionality, too, within your film was great. All different disabilities, a great depiction of diversity just in general outside of disability, too. And I thought it was great that you guys were able to do this. And from all over the country, people were zooming in. I know Imani lives in Philadelphia. You're in California. So can you talk about that experience of working collaborative?
Yeah, it was really our goal to make this film as accessible as possible to as many people as possible, and that went into the writing of the script. So for me, when I was thinking about this, and when Melanie and I were collaborating, we wanted to think about like a plot that could be really accessible for people with disabilities. So not only should it be like really funny, but it should be accessible, and so Zoom. My first idea was it should be over Zoom. And then we brought in a bunch of people. We wanted to bring in as many people as we could. So we brought in Crutches and Spice, Imani Barbarin. We brought in Steve Way. We brought in Colin Buckingham and Jaleesa. And it was great to work with everybody, much more than I'm not including, but they're all great. And so it was really, really cool to have an over 80% disabled cast and crew in front of and behind the camera, because that's super important to have people not only in front of the camera representing disabled people, but having people behind the camera disabled, because they're thinking about this. They're thinking like, how can we make this accessible? How can we make a funny story as well? So that was like a big part of that for us.
And I think that's important, for us. Even when I started the Film Challenge 9 years ago, it was always, how can we get as many people with disabilities both in front of but also behind the camera? So people with disabilities writing, learning about cinematography, directing, producing, which you did a great job. But really, I think what you guys did such a great job is building together this massive team of talent, between Amani, who's so great on social media and is a great writer as well, and Steve Way. I will give a side point to that. He is on Rami, which is a huge show. He's in a prime time, a big show on Hulu. But he actually won Best Actor in the 2015 Film Challenge, and so it's been amazing to see that he's kind of taken off outside of the Film Challenge and then come back in and joined your team.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that to have a mixture of people who are so talented and also generous, I think that speaks to just the disability community, that we want to raise each other up, and to have people who not only just like Melanie and me. Melanie's the director and main producer on the film, but we like disabled people, I think in general in the entertainment industry, like have guts. Like we want to reach out and like have people come into our work, but also we're generous and we want to lift people up, and like those are all skills that like you want to have on your films, you want to have in your projects. And I think like people in the entertainment industry need to realize that like we're resourceful, we have guts, we're creative, we're funny, and like that's really amazing and something that you should want on your sets.
And I think what was so cool about your film too is that the film itself, it doesn't really talk that much about disability. It's just a dating film at its heart and its core. And all the complexities of dating in a virtual time, and her being, Melanie being a therapist in this, the couples therapist, and then you just have different couples with different disabilities. I mean, it's genius. It's such a timely film.
Thank you. That was something that also was really a goal for us, was to have a film that wasn't talking specifically about disability-related issues, but issues that maybe all of us could relate to, anybody. And yeah, like when I was writing the script, I was thinking I'm in a relationship with an interabled relationship, and we're not just sitting on the couch all day being like, I'm disabled, that's not like the problems that we face all the time. It's like funny things or things that everybody faces with. So like that was something that Mel and I talked about a lot. Like we need to have this film that people all relate to. Disabled people don't just whine about just being disabled all the time. We fight about things that are funny. And
I like that inner-able too.
Yeah.
I like that in the word inner-able.
Inner-able. I'm in an inner-able relationship, and a lot of people are. So
yeah,
it's true. So that was really important to the story. And also Melanie, we had related in a conversation where Melanie expressed that she was very frustrated always being typecasted in roles as like an amputee or a veteran or things like that. So I said, Melanie, why don't we make a role for you that's a really weird, out of the ordinary, cool role that anybody could play, but you should play because you're an amazing actress. And she said, yeah, okay, so that's what we did.
And she's great in that therapist role. So I think you really wrote to the strengths of each of the different actors in a great way, with her kind of being the captain of the ship and steering it and letting everybody be funny and bring their talents to life.
Thank you so much. That's really was the goal, was to have everybody bring a little piece of themselves to the role and what they thought was funny, and we left intentionally little bits and pieces in the script, rooms for people to have improv so that they could grow into their roles. So we would have really great time like having little scenes of improv and then cutting that into the script so that everyone, I felt, at least from my perspective, felt really like they brought something and felt really fulfilled because they didn't feel like they themselves were put into a box. Which I feel like is really, really important.
And I think it resonated with the audience, that brings to the next point. You guys were nominated for Best Awareness Campaign for this film, and I think you did such a great job of getting, all of the talent, and I think it helps that to have so many people that are very good at social media be sharing this film, but I think the film really resonated to the disability community and beyond, because there were so many shares, and you guys just killed it on social media getting this film out there. Can you talk about that, the whole experience?
Yeah, I mean, for me as a writer, it's really important the things that I write. For me as a disabled woman and as a writer, the things that I write about always have disability in them, because as a woman and a disabled woman, I always encounter disability on a daily basis. So I mean, it's always going to be in my scripts. Like, that's inevitable, right? But I try to approach the things that I write to be relatable to everyone, and to kind of sneak that in there, because I want people to resonate with everybody. I want that. So I think that kind of reflected in the film, and that's why I kind of was successful in the campaign, because people were like, oh, this resonates with me too. It wasn't just resonating with disabled people, it was resonating with everybody. So I think that might have led to some of that success in the campaign, because it was more shareable for people. But also, yeah, like you touched upon that, we did try to include a lot of people in front of and behind the camera, and I think that's just something that people can learn from. Like, if you're including a lot of people, it's going to be more successful.
And I think you guys were great at letting the audience know about the massive representation of people with disabilities in front of and behind the camera. I mean, that stat, I mean, 80%, or yeah, that's a lot of people. 8 out of 10 people have some kind of disability. That's a fun number. I mean, in reality, we're 25% of the population, with 1 in 4 people with disabilities. But the stats are, we're in less than 3% of film and TV shows, and behind the camera, there's far fewer opportunities and representation of people with disabilities. So to have 8 out of 10, it's a pretty cool stat.
Yeah, it's a cool stat, and those numbers are hard to ignore. And I think it's kind of it's an important number that you should be looking at. If you're gonna ignore those numbers, you're gonna be losing. It's not only something that you should be doing; it's something that is a smart business move. If you're going to be ignoring those numbers, you're going to be losing out on a lot of opportunities, and that's something that I kind of stress to people, because as shown in like the awareness campaign, we're putting 8 out of 10 or 80% of our cast and crew is like included, and we were successful, and we had a story that was relatable to everybody and had disability in it. You're gonna win, baby.
Yeah, there you go. Filmmaker audience, you heard it right here from Samantha. She had success, including people with disabilities. You may end up screening at NewFilmmaker LA or some of the other initiatives. Look, we're a huge audience. We deserve to be heard. Can you talk a little bit, before we're starting to wind down here, can you talk about overall about this experience, making your film? What did it mean to you to be a part of the Film Challenge, to be part of NewFilmmakers LA?
I had a great experience with NewFilmmakers LA. I rarely see like such a great people putting their money where their mouth is, and wanting to be inclusive and accessible and actually doing it. And this was just such a great experience to see that in play, people being actually wanting to help and wanting to have those accommodations and doing it. And that was just such a touching thing for me to see and be involved with. And what was the other part of the question?
So for the Film Challenge too, what did it mean for you to be a part of the Film Challenge? And I know, you actually went to school at UCLA for film, and then all of a sudden how did you find out about the Film Challenge, and what was that experience like for you?
I went to UCLA Film for school. I had a great experience there, and I learned so much. And then when I left school and started working in the film industry, I had a rude awakening, because things were not accessible for me, and I was not able to get work because of my physical disability. And the entry level into the jobs were so physical, and my skills as an artist were soon not valued, because I couldn't enter things, because I couldn't participate in these entry-level physical jobs. So to have programs like NewFilmmakers LA and Disability Film Challenge, where my artistic abilities are appreciated and I'm having access to this community and to these resources, is so amazing, because now all of a sudden my work is being seen and I'm able to thrive. That's
amazing. And do you have anything else coming out that we can be on the lookout for?
I do. I have a pilot that is being, I've entered into a bunch of contests. I'm entering a lot of writers programs. Hopefully maybe one of them will pan out. I'm also on on Instagram and Twitter, Sam_mayonnaise, like the condiments, because that's funny. But hopefully you'll see me soon in some of these programs.
Well, I know we definitely are. You're a true talent. Your film is great. If you haven't seen the film, watch it today. You're missing out. Couples Therapy, Samantha Mannis. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.